You think corsets were just for women? Think again. In the Russia of poet Alexander Pushkin, officers, nobles, and even the Tsar himself were known to squeeze into garments that created impossibly tiny waists. All done willingly. But why on earth would a man risk fainting just for fashion? And how did a cinched waist become a symbol of masculine power and prestige? Let's unravel this bizarre story. First, let's get our terms straight. Men didn't always wear corsets, exactly like women did. They often wore stays, special waist belts, or tightly laced undergarments designed to shape the torso. These garments did more than just create a silhouette. They were thought to improve posture, signal discipline, and project an image of self. For the 19th century man, a slim waist read as control of his body, and by extension, his destiny. Now, picture this. Early 19th century Russia was completely obsessed with style. The aristocracy copied everything from Paris. High society salons acted as the ultimate fashion police, and poets like Pushkin were celebrities, navigating a world of radical politics and even more radical fashion. This was the age of the dandy men who elevated their personal image to an art form. Dandies prized small waists, narrow coats, and a look that, by today's standards, might seem to blur the lines between masculine and feminine. Your clothing was a declaration. Wearing a corset wasn't just about fashion. It was about announcing your refinement to the world. But what took this trend from the salons to the streets? The military. The military made waist-cinching respectable. Officers' uniforms were meticulously tailored to emphasize a narrow waist and a broad chest, creating that ideal heroic silhouette. And these tight belts and cinches were practical. They supported a riderous posture on horseback and helped stabilize the torso under the weight of heavy equipment. But practicality soon gave way to aesthetics. The tighter a man laced his stays, the more disciplined and therefore, the more masculine he appeared to his peers. This is where things get extreme. Contemporary memoirs and satirical prints from the era are filled with wild stories. We read about officers fainting on parade grounds from lacing too tightly, about ribs being permanently deformed after years of compression, and even about men who would boast about the inches they'd shed from their waistline. Satirists had a field day with this. Their cartoons showed gentlemen collapsing in a heap and feature mock rivalries over who could lace themselves tighter. It's important to remember that these are contemporary accounts and satirical sources, and historians still debate just how widespread these extremes really were. But for some, it seems the pain was a small price to pay for the perception of elegance and discipline, and one name pops up again and again in these anecdotes. Tsar Nicholas I. He reigned from 1825 to 1855, and some observers of the time wrote about his pale complexion and his incredibly tightly laced court attire at formal banquets. But historians urge caution here. Court descriptions were often a mix of observation, gossip, and political jabs. While records do show that Nicholas was deeply concerned with appearance and state ceremony, the image of a powerful monarch fainting in a corset might be more rumor than fact. It was a vivid symbol that satirists could use to critique the excesses of the court. Of course, tight lacing had real consequences. Physicians of the period reported on everything from breathing difficulties and fainting spells to, in the long term, deformed ribs and displaced internal organs. Modern medical historians confirm that chronic compression can indeed alter posture and affect internal organs, though the scale of the damage would have varied greatly from person to person. But for many, it seems the social reward simply outweighed the physical risk. Satirists, pamphleteers, and political rivals absolutely loved the spectacle. Newspapers published caricatures comparing these tight-laced officers to women. Critics argued that the trend was emasculating, while its supporters claimed it was a sign of discipline. This public debate wasn't really just about fashion. It was a debate about identity. What did it even mean to be a man in an age of fancy salons, strict military uniforms, and a rapidly changing society? So why did this trend eventually fade away? By the middle of the 19th century, fashions had shifted. Military tailoring became less extreme. The Industrial Revolution made comfortable, ready-made clothing available to more people, and cultural ideas about masculinity began to evolve. The severely cinched waist retreated into the history books, but its echo lives on. We can see it in later waist-streaming fads, in certain modern aesthetics, and in the enduring idea that fashion can be a powerful form of social currency. So, here's a question for you. Would you sacrifice comfort, or even your health, to fit an ideal? The men of Pushkin's era did, all for honor, status, and what they saw as beauty. This story is a fascinating reminder that fashion is never just about the clothes we wear. It's about identity, it's about politics, and sometimes It's even about pain. Let me know in the comments below. Would you tighten the laces for prestige, or would you loosen the belt and just breathe? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the strange side of history.